Hello and welcome to the Acting Coach Network podcast. I'm your host, Savannah Madden, acting coach, award-winning theatre school owner and business coach for performing arts professionals, tutors and small business owners who want to grow their businesses with confidence, resilience and to step into their CEO mindset without burnout. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by Heather Nye, a brilliant actor, inspiring drama teacher, and the heart behind the Drama Centre in Little Baddow and Malden. Heather's journey into the performing arts began with a love of acting that led from an amateur productions in Chelmsford to professional drama school training, all while discovering a deep passion for teaching. In 2021, she volunteered to assist in a drama class and quickly found herself drawn to helping children find their confidence through performance. What started as a helping hand soon turned into a thriving career. Heather now teaches across multiple schools, runs her own drama club and continues to pursue professional acting with the same energy and commitment she brings to her students. In this conversation, we'll explore her experiences growing a franchise, balancing acting and teaching, and the ways mindset, chosen behaviours, and the courage to embrace the hard path have shaped her life and work. Heather's story is one of creativity, resilience, and the joy of helping others step boldly into their own spotlight. Heather Nye, welcome to the Acting Coach Network podcast.
Thank you so much. What a very, very kind intro.
Oh, you're so welcome. So it's great to have you here. Heather, let's start at the beginning, as I always like to do. How did you first get involved into the performing arts? Tell us.
Wow, I think it's difficult to put a date or a memory on it. As far as I can remember, I've always been in the performing arts. I suppose the earliest memory I have is Stagecoach, when I was definitely under 10, like 7 and 8. And I never really found a love of dancing, but singing and acting always loved. And then, when I started to audition for drama schools when I was 17 and discovered that musical theatre wasn't really where I wanted to go, actually, it was purely acting. But as a previous guest you've had, and a good friend of mine, Leanne, has said before, it really didn't feel like there was much opportunity to just do acting when I was a kid. It felt like you had to do musical theatre, to the point where I even started trying to do a full-time drama course in it, a drama school course in it, without even realising that it wasn't actually for me, because it had been all I'd known. And I just knew that I loved being on stage. And it never really stopped from there. Well, that's not true. For 3 years, for 3 years, I stopped, allowed rejection to stop me. And I'm married to the man now, but I was in love and I just wanted to get a flat with him. And for that, I needed a job. So paying for drama school auditions wasn't helping there. But when it just doesn't stop, that voice, that niggle. So I started doing amateur productions when I was in my 20s. I'm still in my 20s, but in my early 20s. And the feedback that I got and the support that I received was so wonderful that it inspired me to go at it again in my 20s, and I'm absolutely loving it. Best decision I ever made.
Sometimes you just need that extra maturity to know that it's definitely the right path for you. And I also think that a bit of life experience is just so integral to helping with your acting career, or with pursuing acting a bit more, because you've got so much more emotional intelligence to be able to apply to characters and to business ownership, to teaching, So maybe that little break was exactly what you needed.
I think you're exactly right. When I think about how I perform now, obviously with the benefit of having done more training, but when I was 17, 18 and 19, I'm very blessed to say I really hadn't known grief at the time. I still had all of my grandparents. I hadn't really lost anyone that I really truly cared about. And by the time that I came to give it another go, I'd experienced grief.
Heather, I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. It's what, everybody goes through it at some point. But I had it in spades. And silver linings, it absolutely gave me so much more depth of emotional maturity.
And I just want to go back to what you mentioned about Leanne Johnson, and our lovely mutual friend now, Leanne Johnson. What is it about her approach? Because you said, that she has said certain things about straight acting. What is it about her approach that inspired you to just want to work with children doing acting and even Lambda teaching. So I know that you're a Lambda coach as well.
Yes. So thank you so much for asking. In my first session with her, so she put on her Instagram story in 2021 that she needed an assistant. And well, I had a free afternoon. I wanted an opportunity to be at the theatre again. So I volunteered. And she really liked what I did and she got some good feedback. So she asked me if I would like to train in Lambda with her. And I said, yes, absolutely. Anything to do this instead of being in an office. So I went along.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. I went along and in that first session, she was working with a young boy who had autism and he needed to fidget and he was getting a bit overwhelmed. And she was just I'm trying to find the right words to describe it. She was so inclusive and allowed him to have, if she said, if you need to fidget, you can fidget. And she let him do that. She encouraged him to do what he was doing more, to get bigger with it and to pursue that energy and that, he was absolutely buzzing with it. And instead of saying, stop that, she was encouraging him to use that and channel it. And I could have cried because I honestly had this, I've never seen this before. It felt like growing up, if you had something that made it difficult for you to sit still, then you were penalised for that and you were told
definitely.
It was a problem. And really, it's a superpower. And Leanne saw that. And this boy, he was just so full of energy and life and love. And the way that he turned that acting piece on that day was wonderful to see. He was only about 8 or 9 as well. Someone who, really needs the support of somebody who knows how to appropriately work with neurodivergent children. And that was what really made me go, wow, I want to give that to kids too. I want to be that in their lives.
So that was your turning point. That was your inspirational moment.
Yeah, big time. And I mean,
Awesome.
Maybe it has something to do with it. My younger cousin Noelle is autistic and we've always had a very, very close bond. And she has always relied on me as a safe person. I think that also, maybe that's why it had more of a hit home moment for me.
Oh, what you're talking about is just so incredibly important. We've talked quite a lot in previous episodes about neurodiversity in the arts, in children, etc. And I have had my eyes really open to it by having quite a few members of my teaching team who are neurodiverse and how they have used different techniques that work for them to help with their students. And then they've shared them with my teaching team. So now every day that I teach, I have a box of fidget toys. And
amazing.
All my students now know that they walk into the room, they don't even need to ask, they can just go over to the box, pick out what they need, and that is what they can use for the lesson. And I myself have found that I used to always click a pen. And I have stopped doing that now, and I use a little Rubik's Cube instead to fiddle around with if I just need to focus just a little bit more on what I'm doing, and it really, really helps.
This is so it. It's people who need to be doing something with their hands. And people would look at that when I was a kid and go, well, you're not paying attention, you're not focusing. But we know now that actually I'm doing that so that I can give you my focus. And That's amazing that you have that now, Savannah. I love to hear it.
I think that's why I drink so many hot drinks as well, because I just always need to be touching something and holding something.
It does come up sometimes. Leanne has told me that she thinks I'm neurodivergent. I've never been tested.
We probably are. Mm-hmm.
She says it and I go, no, I don't think so. And my leg's bouncing up and down when I say it. And she goes, yeah, Heather.
I have also thought the same thing about myself. So I alluded to it a little in the intro, and obviously we've talked about your training. So I know that you're actively pursuing professional acting work whilst you're teaching. So I'm sure everyone would love to know, how does your acting work inform or influence the way you teach?
Oh, wow. I love that question. I think that because I'm still actively going to workshops and spaces with other professional actors, I say other very successful professional actors. It's quite amazing. I was actually in a workshop with somebody who was in Rivals only yesterday, and that was pretty cool. She followed me back on Instagram, and I'm like, oh wow.
Yes, love it.
But yeah, I'm with these people in these spaces, and I'm learning what's new, what's current, and I'm up to date in that respect. So when I'm doing Lambda acting exams, I mean, at its core, the examiner wants to see that you have understood what it is that you're saying. And that's the fundamental, isn't it, when it comes to acting? It's finding what is the character's objective. Why do they say it? And that really helps. Having the regular acting training that I have really helps me when I'm with those Lambda acting students, because I'm still very much in the thick of it myself. I'm still learning. So we learn from each other, with each other. Just the other day, I had a girl who was doing a speech from Josephine and I. And
Love that speech.
yeah, Red says, and she's delivering it. So I got up, I got opposite her, and I said, right, I'm Red. And she went, Red says, and I said, can you do it? Are you going to get on that stage? And because I put a completely different energy into it, she kind of like faltered because she'd learnt it in such a way. And I said to her, don't do what you've practiced. Bounce off of me. Respond how you would respond if somebody gave you this energy. And what she found in Josephine's character was completely different to what she'd been practicing. And it was so much more authentic and real. And it was a really wonderful moment where I felt like if I hadn't have just been doing that in a space last week, it wouldn't have occurred to me to do that with you. And we wouldn't have found this today.
Yeah, I think there's two really great things to pick up there. The first one is that what makes a great coach is somebody who is not afraid to continue learning, continue developing, continuing trying to better themselves, because there is no limit. Like, we can always do more. And I think some people get to a stage where they're like, well, I've done my training and I've done this and I've done that and that's it. And I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to do my coaching. And that's fine. But that's not how obviously you and I operate. And the second thing is that I think it's amazing that you can take things that you've been doing and translate them into working with a young person, because it's all the same, really, isn't it? You know,
it is. And
I
thank you
think
for that.
Yeah, I think a lot of coaches, again, think that, oh, yeah, well, that's what some adults are doing. But adults are having just as much fun and playing in an acting lesson as the kids should be. Adults should be having even more fun, I say.
Yeah. And play is exactly the word, isn't it? You go to see a play. We were called players. Yeah. Oh, what a fabulous conversation. Sorry, if I do say so myself. I just love talking about this.
But this is it. And also, I think if you mention to students as well that you've got a few of your methods and tidbits and whatever from the professional sessions and workshops and things you're going to, how inspiring is that for them? You know, or my teacher's been working with so-and-so, or going to be coached by this person. You know, I think they find that really inspiring, and young people love being treated a little bit more like an adult, don't they? You know?
Oh,
They just
definitely.
love that, you know, respect and that maturity and things like that. So you've obviously been pursuing workshops and working with other people and auditions and things like that. So how are you balancing your acting career and building a franchise at the same time?
I haven't really given much thought to how I balance it. Do you know what? I try every day to do at least one thing that pushes me towards my goals. And I have the goal of building my franchise up into a very successful territory. And I have the goal of being a professional actor. So if that means one day I've had to spend, if I've had the privilege of spending, you know, the whole day teaching and developing my skills in that respect, when I get home, I'll then maybe spend half an hour or so just working on a short monologue, just to keep it fresh, because that's all I can give it that day. And similarly, if I've spent 4 hours in an acting workshop, then when I get home, I might just reply to some emails. But as long as I've done something each day, that's how I feel as though I'm working towards both of my goals. Because I think that's another important thing to recognize is that if you try to do too much, you will, and this is, you know, something that you're excellent to talk to, you will burn out if you try to do it all at
100%.
once. So doing a small amount each day it feels like a balance for me, rather than trying to tell myself I have to do it all in 24 hours.
I think that's great, because that's just about small steps to achieve your bigger goals, right? And if we break it down into those manageable chunks, it feels less overwhelming. And then that is how we avoid getting to those burnout situations. And I loved how you reframed what you were saying about how you get to, not that you have to, because no one has to do anything. And
Exactly.
we get these privileges, we get these amazing opportunities, or we create these amazing opportunities for ourselves to be in. And we have to convert those situations into opportunities as well. And I like the phrase, I don't have to, I get to. It's really nice.
Absolutely. That's the mindset shift that you touched
That's
on
it.
right at the very beginning. I would sit in an office when that was my main source of income, dreaming about if I could be working with the children instead, or if I could be managing my own drama centre franchise instead. So now it is really important to look back and go, I've come a long way. I've not reached where I want to be yet. I'm not done, far from it. Definitely come in very small steps a long way from where I was towards where I want to be.
And how long has it taken you to get to here? How long ago was it that you were working in an office?
This is vulnerable to say, but less than 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
I have only just gone, and it was a real moment where I've been on holiday and I came back and I was so looking forward to going back to parents that this must sound bizarre. I was really looking forward to going back to parents that I hadn't replied to yet because of the time difference, and just being able to learn about what their kids had been up to in the summer and update them as to what I'd been up to and plan the next September. And then when I reached the office, I loved the people that I work with 100%. I loved everyone in the office. That was a real privilege for me. But the work didn't fulfill me at all, not even a little bit. And I sat there and thought, even as my main source of income, this just isn't worth it. I want to spend every day doing something that I love. And I'm spending 8 hours of that time working towards somebody else's dream. And when I framed it like that, I went, I can't do it. I can't. So I took the leap. I took the plunge. I spoke to my husband. I made some plans and I left. And now I say I left, I still offer a couple of hours of my time to them because I couldn't just leave them high and dry. I was in quite a high position there. So I still say a couple of hours a week. I hop on a call or I give my advice somewhere, but I am out of the office, baby. And that feels great. As I said, love the people there, but the work just wasn't something that made me happy. And so, yeah, I started in January really trying to make my own franchise happen. And in less than a year, I've found myself in the position where I could leave the office, which is something I'm really
outstanding.
Really proud to say that. Yeah.
Yeah,
thanks,
you
Savannah.
should be. That is incredible. I don't think I've ever heard somebody do something like that in such a short period of time. So yeah, that is absolutely amazing. I'm sure you could tell by the sound of my voice, and if you're watching this on YouTube, the look on my face when you said 2 weeks ago.
So recent. I would very much like to have said, oh, I left, a little while ago. But no, the truth is it was very, very recent. And it is a bit scary. I'm very much in the moment of, is this going to work? But I choose to believe that it will. And I do believe, and sorry if this is crass to say, but I do believe if you do what you love, the money will follow. And as much as
I say
money
it all the time, Heather, honestly. Yeah. Honestly, I say to my clients all the time when they're it's all about this mindset shift. I feel like you've got exactly the right mindset of, well, if I pursue this and if I focus on it and if I put all my attention towards it, good things will start to happen. And if I'm putting myself out there and if I'm creating these opportunities for young people or whatever it might be, everything will start to follow and start to fall into place, and the money will come and the flexibility and the freedom and, all the things that I imagine one wants. And so many theatre school owners are too scared or don't have the right mindset just yet to make that leap between whatever it is that's holding them back versus what it is that they want. If you drop that other teaching gig that you really, really don't like and isn't fulfilling you anymore, and you're pushing towards someone else's dream in that teaching job and not focusing on your own, then yes, you're not getting that money, but then the more you can focus on your own dream, more money will even come to that. So those are just a couple of examples of things that just tend to hold people back. And you could have let that office role hold you back for a really long time because of money or of confidence levels or anything, but you haven't. You've pushed through and gone, yeah, no, I think if I pursued this and I put all my energy towards it, more things will flock towards it. We could be talking this time next year again, or in 6 months' time. And
should we pop it in the diary?
Yeah, let's do it. Put it on. it on the goal board and then
Definitely.
check in and see where you're at and what amazing things have happened in that time, because you've been able to focus so much more, or in your acting career as well.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
So I think talking about confidence as well leads me perfectly onto my next question that I want to ask you, which is, how do you help your students build confidence? And are there techniques from your own training, and I want to add in, or your own life, that you're able to pass on to them?
Thank you so much for asking that. I think that fostering confidence, you have to show up. You have to demonstrate it yourself. You have to be able to show them what a confident person looks like. And in terms of techniques, there is one that jumps straight to my mind. I actually made a video about it a little while ago. I was in a acting workshop led by a woman called Ewa. She's fantastic. And she starts us off every single time. Every single person in the room stands like a star, power stance. And we say to the room, I am enough. You are enough. We are the same person. And it just creates this sense of no one is better than anyone else in here. Everyone is welcome to bring their own experiences and their own skills. And we are the same person. It just created for me this feeling of I belong here and you belong here. And we're not going to have any judgment in this space. And now I make every single student do it at the beginning of the class. And on the first week, especially the older ones, they kind of roll their eyes and laugh and like kind of take the mick a bit. But now, weeks in or months in, it's such a thing that I can see they all look forward to. Like they all grin and get towards it. And then it takes less than a minute. And then we can get on with the game and get on with the lesson. But it means that I've certainly seen a difference in how people then act with each other. Because I think it's very easy to create these, not cliques necessarily, but smaller friendship groups within the large class where you gravitate towards the same 2 or 3 people every time. And when I started doing this, I saw less and less of that. People felt more comfortable going up to each other, to the people that they hadn't actually necessarily worked with for a couple of weeks, and asking questions and supporting each other and offering kind feedback. And it created the space of we're all the same person. We're all enough. There's no right or wrong here.
Wow, that actually gave me goosebumps when you said the 3 phrases that you say. That is absolutely unreal, Heather. And I love that you mentioned where you also were inspired and got that from as well. It's just lovely to hear where things originate from and how people potentially make things into a bit more like their own thing or take inspiration from places. I absolutely love that. So we have talked about your franchise. So I want to hear a little bit more about maybe some challenges that you've faced, because you are exuding positivity and confidence, and we're all human and we're all navigating this business world, and it can be challenging. So in your first year of your franchise, building, what has been your biggest challenge so far?
I think that the biggest challenge I've come across is not being given a chance and taking that personally.
Mm-hmm.
When you reach out to a school or you put up my first drama club, put it up, and not as many people signed up as they thought they would, or the school never got back to me, or they said, oh, we've already got drama lessons, thanks. And I'm like, but it's not drama, it's Lambda, actually. And feeling as though I have to keep explaining myself and keep begging for, please give me this chance, this opportunity to prove that this is going to be worth it for you and for me. It's a challenge because it threatens my belief in myself. It threatens my confidence. It says, if they're not going to give me the chance, how can I prove myself? And then how can I make that club happen? And then how can I make money? And then how can, and you start what ifing. And that is such a detrimental thing to do to yourself. So yeah, I think the biggest challenge has been not taking things too personally when it doesn't go your way, doesn't go how you expect it to go.
And how do you manage that in your business? So how do you manage when you get those rejections or you take those emails or responses personally? How do you overcome that?
I use affirmations as my biggest tool. I remind myself regularly that this is an abundant universe, Savannah. There is so much out there, more than we can possibly imagine. So to give you an example, I had a young lad in my drama club who was getting on quite well, enjoying himself. He had a lot of energy, but he was really enjoying himself. And I hadn't noticed this, but Mum had come back into the room and we were all in a circle and he had a lot of energy. And she must have, I don't know, given him a look or something, because he suddenly was going, what, at Mum. And it just shifted into anger. And from that moment on, I couldn't get him back engaged. He was an angry little boy. And at the end of the class, I said, I hope to see you again next week. No, I'm never coming back. I hate it here. I don't want to come back. I'm never coming back. And I've never had that from a child before. And it immediately threatened to knock me. I immediately started to take it personally. And when I was in my car, I rubbed my chest and I smiled to myself. And I thought about the 6 other children in that club and how happy they were when they left and how excited they were to come back again. And I reminded myself that a child's opinion of me does not dictate who I am. My opinion of me dictates who I am. And I used those affirmations. I kept reminding myself that that small moment that wasn't very pleasant was a tiny little seed in the sea of wonderful things that are happening, and that I know I delivered a good lesson, and that really wasn't actually my doing. And sometimes it is your doing. Sometimes, as you said earlier on, we're all human. We all make mistakes. But it's remembering that and thinking, I can't go back in time. I can't change what I did, but I can make sure that going forward, I make the choices that are going to lead me towards a happier situation.
So hard, isn't it? Because our brains are naturally wired to go towards the negative and the negative bias. So it's really tough in those moments to recognise that potentially in this particular example, it doesn't sound like it was actually to do with you. It sounds like there was a sequence of events that led up to that moment. But in the moment, we can really blame ourselves. So the fact that you've got those tools in your toolkit, as it were, to be able to lean on in those moments to support yourself, I think is so important. And not enough of us have got those tools to lean on. And then we just focus on that one negative thing rather than all the wonderful positive things that also happened that day that you mentioned. So it's really important, isn't it, to have your support systems, those internal ones and the external ones, because, you know, in that instance, if that was me, I might then go home and talk it through with my partner. But the fact that you had something to do right there and then is really, really important. But yeah, it's tough when our brains are so wired to go towards that negative.
I was ready to start crying.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not surprised.
Fresh, immediate, because it's not just the words that are being said, it's the tone. And children can't control that, bless them. They react. He was only 6. Yes, he's not able to regulate his emotions. But that doesn't change the fact that it's hurtful to hear that harsh tone and to take it personally. And yeah, I really wanted to cry. I really wanted to go, my God, I've ruined this boy's day. I've created this problem. And exactly like you said, Savannah, I was able to make a conscious decision to go, no, I haven't, and talk myself out of it. And I'm making it sound easy. It absolutely isn't. I've been doing this for years. In 2020 was when I started discovering these ways that you can help yourself. And so that's 7 years? No, 5 years. 5 years. I thought I was 20. 2020. 5 years of really putting it into practice. And I think it's easy to tell yourself these things when you're in a good mood. The challenge is when it's happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Being able to react in the moment the way that you really want to, rather than how you might automatically feel, which is, of course, completely valid. So what's been the most surprising thing you've learned about yourself as a business owner?
I'm set boundaries so much firmer than I thought I would. I have blocked people easily because they've messaged me in the evening and I've politely said, please send me an email, and they've continued to message me. So I just block them. And that really surprised me the first time so I did it on an impulse. And then I started to go, oh, she's going to make a big problem about this. Like, this is going to be really detrimental. And then I thought, no, it isn't. I've made it very clear what this parent needs to do in order to reach me and to reach what they want out of this conversation. They are choosing to disrespect my boundary, which is a very fair one to put in place. It was about 10 o'clock at night and she was messaging me on my personal number. And it was something that really didn't need to be dealt with at 10 o'clock at night. not even in her world. It wasn't something that, if this was something that, was really going to affect her child that evening, then I might feel a bit different. But it wasn't, and it didn't need my attention. And I surprised myself with how easily I was able to decide, no, that is my boundary. Don't cross it, or you're going to get blocked.
That's a very healthy boundary to have. I think particularly so early on in your business journey. I think it was Leanne and I actually that talked about not having very good boundaries when we both started our businesses, because our businesses are not too dissimilar in age. I believe Leanne and I are probably roughly about the same age as well. But that's not the point. The point is that it can be so easy early on in business to be a bit more on the people pleasing side of things, which has a time and a place. But at 10 o'clock at night, where that issue did not need anybody's attention, parents or yours, that's a really good moment to enforce that boundary. And I can hold my hands up and say without a shadow of a doubt that in my first year of business, I definitely didn't have that boundary. I put it in pretty quickly after that, but you do still want to be, like, oh yes, I'll reply to that and I'll reply to that. No, not the way to do business. So
No.
I really applaud you for being able to do that now at this
Thank
early
you.
stage in your business ownership career. Fabulous. And we talked a lot about mindset, which is awesome, because that is my absolute bag as well, and chosen behaviors. How do you manage your mindset when you're both teaching and in your acting career? Because owning a business is no mean feat. Being an actor is no mean feat either. It's one of those careers that you don't just sort of luxuriously sort of step into and,
Definitely
it's all like, sunshines and rainbows, is it? I'm sure lots of careers are also the same. You don't just waltz in and be able to do it beautifully and are really successful really quickly. So what my question is, how do you adopt your growth mindset and use it well, or as
Thank
well
you.
as you can in both your careers that are lovely intertwined?
I strive to be someone that everyone is going to want to see again. I don't change who I am. I don't start, as you said earlier on, people pleasing. I don't, start bending over backwards. But at the same time, I walk into every space with a chosen, I decide before I walk in, you're going to like me. And if they don't, that's up to them. And that works with children. It works with casting directors. It works with writers. It was only on Sunday that a writer put up on their story through a space that I was connected to, saying, I've written a new piece. I need some new actors. Would anyone like to come and read? This is where I met the woman who had been in Rivals, some other people there who have done some amazing things. And again, people like me who haven't even had their first professional job yet. Now, I could have had the mindset when I saw that of, I'm not good enough for that. But no, I decided, you're going to think I'm great. So I reached out and said, do you still need actors? And they said, yes, we absolutely do. And that put me in that space. And I left having been invited back next Sunday to read the scene again. And I think that happened to me because I'm very firm in my decision that I'm a likable person. And if you decide that, then you start acting like that. Does that make sense?
It sure does. I really feel the same. I've been putting myself forward more to speak in people's memberships and to speak on stages, because that's a place that I really want to be right now, and speaking on other people's podcasts. And you know what it's like when you can see a Facebook post in a group, for example, you can see all the other people that have commented. And I've had limiting beliefs like, oh, they would do a bit of a better talk than me, or they're way more experienced than I am, or something like that. And I've just sat there and I've gone, everyone is in the same boat here. We're all pitching for the same opportunity, or whatever it is. And I am still going to put my comment there. And what has happened?
Absolutely.
I have got 2 podcast interviews booked, and I've got 2 talks in 2 different memberships next month. So you do not get yourself into these scenarios by sitting still. Nothing happens if you stay still, right? You've got to put yourself into out of your comfort zone, into your stretch zone, where you are stretching yourself or you're pushing yourself. I think that is just such a great way of looking at it, that you always go into a scenario wanting people to invite you back. I think that's a great mantra. That's one affirmation for the board, isn't it?
Definitely. And that's awesome as well that you're doing that. Congratulations, mate. That's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. You know, the more you put yourself out there and the more you talk to people and things like that, the more opportunities just flow towards you, I swear. You know, it's like what we were saying earlier. So fear of the future is something that a lot of us feel. You've obviously put yourself into a situation where you've left one job to pursue another. That potentially could fuel some fear, but we're not going to let it. But how do you turn that fear into something really exciting rather than frightening or paralysing?
Choose the positive what if. When a negative, scary what if pops up, I think, okay, but what if it all goes brilliantly? You know, you get, what if nobody signs up? Okay, what if everybody does? What if I'm overbooked? What if this time next year it's absolutely overflowing with opportunities? It's what if the franchise takes off so well that I don't even need to do anything with it anymore and I'm just acting? What if I love the franchise so much that I want to put all my energy into that and I just keep doing that and I find myself being like a real business-minded entrepreneur? I'm already, like, the more that I do it just now, just saying it, I'm physically getting excited. I can see it.
You're
I can
fired
feel
up.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because our brains believe what we tell it. So just the act of, even if it's not true, just the act of saying out loud, what if it all goes right? It has my body going, it might all go right. And I think that everybody is in control of their own brain and their own choices. And the minute that you really, really understand and realize that you create your own reality and you decide what to think and what to feel and what to see, is when you can really step into that and start changing the things around you. And I said decide what you feel. You can't help it, of course, if something throws you, but you can decide how you're going to react to it. It's like you said earlier on with that young boy who started getting quite overwhelmed and angry. I could have, so my emotional reaction was one of real upset. And I could have looked at this child and gone, well, I don't want you back next week. And, responded in the same way that he was. That's how my body wanted to respond, because we're all children inside. But I chose to instead go, okay, that's a shame. And, walk away and do what I needed to do to calm down and rewrite that feeling. So yeah, you're in control, you're in charge, and you can choose to panic in the fear, or you can choose to not do that. And similarly, if it isn't working and it's not everything you thought it would be and you're not enjoying it, you can choose to recognize that and do something about it, rather than go, well, that's what I said I was going to do, so now I have to do it. No, you don't. It's your life. Do what you want.
Amazing. I love that. So you are a drama teacher. You are a Lambda coach, which covers public speaking and acting skills. And, they do overlap. So how do you see these skills benefiting day-to-day life and not just performance?
I have a very firm, clear voice. If I'm in a public space and I need to be heard, I can make myself heard. Emotional regulation is something that I've taken massively from acting, because when you're acting, if you've had a bad morning, but you're playing a character who's having the best day of her life, you act as though you're having the best day of your life. And so I've learned how to physically do differently to what I'm feeling. And that means that in day-to-day life, if I'm in a difficult situation or a positive situation, I can adapt physically to suit that. And public speaking, with acting, one of my favourite lessons that I learned from a fantastic man called Graham, he taught me to find the diamonds, which I think any actor will have experienced this. You must have done it yourself as well, where you read through a script and you find the diamond words, the words that have the power, the emphasis. And a tip that I always say to the children is, if you were a voice actor and you couldn't rely on your face or your body, how would you say this word to help your audience understand how you feel about it? And with public speaking, if you just monotone the same sentence the whole way through, rather than putting the diamonds in, it's going to be a boring speech. So I think just in the way that I talk to people in my day-to-day life, I can't help but find the diamonds. And that makes me a more engaging person to speak with.
And the irony is, Heather, is that you are an absolute diamond.
Thank you very much.
I just love that so much. It's great. What a great analogy. And for someone visual like myself, all I can see now is beautiful diamonds. Gorgeous. Girl's best friend. So you are obviously in the thick of growing your franchise. What advice would you give to a fellow theatre school owner who is thinking about starting their own drama school or coaching LAMDA?
In terms of for starting your own drama school, I would say, and this is something you touched on earlier on perfectly, we're all pitching for the same opportunity in the same space. So why not you? Why not? You're just as much of a contender as anyone else out there. And once you start, you have no choice but to then prepare. If you think to yourself, I'll prepare, and then I'll start, you could lose yourself in never being convinced that you're fully ready. But if you decide that you're ready and just start doing it, then you have no choice but to prepare and to make your drama school the best that it can be. So yeah, just start is my advice.
Yeah, and the why not you phrase I always use with my students, particularly who are auditioning for drama school. And we talk about, the statistics of how difficult it is to get into drama school so that they are under no illusion of how much hard work it is and how small the pool is. However, when we flip it and work on the growth mindset work, why not you? Someone's got to get a spot in drama school. So why shouldn't it be you? So I love that phrase. It's absolutely brilliant. Why not you indeed? And earlier you said that when you walk into a room, you want people to invite you back. So what are you most excited for people to know about you that they might not have gathered just from this conversation?
I don't know. I think I've got a bit of a contrary answer, actually. I learned a phrase once which stayed with me, and that's interesting people are interested people. So when I'm in a space with other people, it's less about selling myself and more about making them feel as though I am really interested in them and what I can learn from them and what they can share with me. And it's having that genuine passion for somebody else's story, which you've done so wonderfully for me today. Thank you. Which creates this feeling of you want to talk to that person more. So yeah, I think contrarily, I will say that I actually want to know much more about you than I want you to know about me.
Okay. And you have offered us so many great nuggets of advice and some tools and techniques today, Heather. But if you could give just one piece of advice to a fellow creative or business owner who's feeling particularly stuck or unsure right now, what would that be?
Go outside, put your phone down, put your laptop down, take your keys and a bottle of water and just walk. Don't think about anything else. Just focus on enjoying what's around you. Lovely new autumn colours are about. And we're blessed to live in England where there are so many beautiful colours on the trees. And, you see hundreds just walking around. And that's I love this time of year. There's so much inspiration out there. But yes, I think when you go outside and you get away from your laptop, your computer, your phone, it doesn't take long for your body to calm down and for it to reset and stop thinking about what could be happening and instead just exist in what is happening. And I think it's in those moments that you have your creativity spark because you've freed yourself from the chains of the phone where you keep getting lost on Instagram or keep getting lost in somebody else's idea that you've seen. And sure, that might spark an idea for you, but if you then scroll on to the next thing, before you know it, you've lost it. Whereas if you go out, your brain will keep churning it over and turning it into something wonderful, hopefully.
Get outside. Brilliant advice, Heather. Thank you so much, Heather. That has been just absolutely brilliant. I'm sure everyone is dying to know now, where can we find you if we'd like to hear a little bit more about your work? And if we would like to connect with you, where can we find you?
Thank you. So please connect with me. As I've just said, I love talking to people. I love hearing about you. My business account, at Heather_the Drama Centre. And my personal acting account is Heather Nye. That's NYE like New Year's Eve. So if you're an actor or a writer or a director looking to connect, Heather Nye is the way to go. And if you're interested in working with me as a LAMDA coach or public speaking in any respect, find me at Heather_the Drama Centre, please, on Instagram. And yeah, please message me. It'd be great to talk to you.
You're like me. Love talking in the DMs. Absolutely brilliant.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Heather. And thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Acting Coach Network podcast. If you love what you heard, make sure you're following. And if you've got a moment, I'd love you to leave a quick review or share the episode with someone else in the industry who might just need it. You can find me over on Instagram at the Acting Coach Network. And if you're looking for support to grow your coaching business or creative career with confidence, resilience, and without burning out, check out the latest tips, tricks, and behind the scenes over on Instagram. And you can also find my latest free resource in the show notes. I'll be back soon with more real conversations, expert insights, and tools to help you build a business you love. Until next time, keep going, stay kind to yourself, and I'll see you soon.